1, 2, 3, 4.
On early morning of 9th August 2013, my family and I got in our car. And this is what came out of it. We drove about 300 kilometers before sun started showing up, had a tea break, drove through mountains, enjoying a surprisingly good road, at our first traffic light, drove through infinitive cities in Romania, finally got into forest zone, made a small break, drove 500 kilometers more, got into city zone again while listening to Lana Del Rey. While we were getting closer to Hungary, roads were getting wider and wider, got on a direct highway to Budapest, drove through the heart of Budapest, finally arrived at our intermediate point in Zagreb, slept the night at Ikar guest house, drove 376 kilometers more on the next morning while listening to Kanye West, drove on a beautiful highway that led us directly to the harbor, saw sea for the first time this year, arrived to Croatia, bought our ticket to travel on a ferry board, waited for about an hour for our ferry board to arrive, got into it, swam 30 kilometers in about an hour, arrived to Trpanian Peninsula, Yanya, Janina, whatever. Got into our car and drove 26 kilometers more, bought some wine at local wine shop made right there, and yeah. At 5 o'clock p.m. 10th August 2013, we finally arrived to our home in Croatia. On the next morning, we sat back in our car and started going through our map to decide where we're gonna go. Then we drove 6 more kilometers, arrived to the place we wanted, took some random photos, having a beautiful background, drove 4 more kilometers, walked on our own to the beach, swam in surprisingly warm and clear Adriatic Sea, drove 6 more kilometers back home, made a stop to enjoy a beautiful view, being the only group of people on this road. On the next day, we grabbed our car and drove 65 kilometers more to Dubrovnik, because it was my daddy's birthday. Made one more step, wait, why so many? Because Croatia is filled with breathtaking views. Arrived to Dubrovnik, spent half an hour trying to find a free parking place, walked 2 kilometers through the old city to Dubrovnik, took tons of photos with picturesque background, walked through amazing streets, got to the harbor, swam in the clearest waters I've ever seen, got back to our car and drove 25 kilometers to a restaurant, ate some seafood such as oysters because, guess what, it still was my daddy's birthday. On the next day we decided to drive to Trpani. It was 26 kilometers away from our home, but we said, why not? Walked through this beautiful tiny city, drove 1.6 kilometers to Divna beach, which eventually turned out to be the most beautiful beach we've ever seen. My camera even couldn't catch the whole beauty of it. Drove 8 kilometers back to ferry board, waited for about an hour, drove 254 kilometers to Zadar, and arrived at a pretty late time, but still decided to go on a walk. The streets of old city of Zadar looked extra nice at night. Slept the night at Zadar, drove 132 kilometers more to Plitvička lakes, had a snake/lunch, decided to go on a walk, had a quick look on lakes and waterfalls, walked back to our hotel, slept the night at Breze Pension, woke up, got ready and entered the national park of Plitvička Jezera, bought tickets for boat/bus trip, waited for a few minutes in a queue while watching funny ducks, got into boat, swam 20 kilometers, got off the boat and walked 8 kilometers in total through incredible beauties of nature. Crystal clean waters, hundreds of waterfalls, thousands of tourists, thousands of photos taken, hundreds of fish seen, hundreds of mind-blowing landscapes seen, and tons of water fallen. Everything in just 7 days spent in Croatia. This country will always remain forever in my heart. On the next morning, just when the sun was rising, we got back into our car to go home. So that's it. That's our trip to Croatia. 3,798 kilometers. 3 people. 7 days. Millions of memories.